the last pick for us, man, at 251, Spencer Anderson. Now, with Spencer, I like the fact that for him, positional flexibility. This dude literally played every position on that Maryland offensive line. Man, I'm watching the game. He literally is starting at right guard, and then midway through bumps out and starts playing right tackle. I'm like, bro, what? Like, that's crazy. But then when you're talking about him, not just going from the right side, but then being able to switch his footwork, play on the left side, I just think with this move right here, you get a guy that can play all 5 positions. Very similar to the Keanu bit when we're saying, how do I take 46 and make it 53, make it 55, make it 57 players? Guys like Spencer, how you do that. In terms of what he does well, I enjoy watching him in the run game. I think in terms of guard, that's his best position. But run game is where you see him be his best self. He is capable of pass blocking. The thing that he gets in trouble with is he drops his head. And when you drop your head, that's when he's able to get beat and guys are able to ultimately have some success in terms of pass rush. But with offensive linemen, that is common. And that's part of the things that we're going to see if Pat Myers can coach that out of him so he can be more consistent. But in terms of, the positional flexibility, the size, and the physicality that he plays with, it doesn't hurt anything. And we know we have a ton of guards. But the fact is, he plays right, he plays left, and he plays center. Just once again adds to that room, adds to the competition in there and the depth more so than anything else. So, like I said, man, for me, man, I was cool with the Spencer Anderson pick at the end.
Yeah, it is what it is. I wouldn't have minded, like, just the, you know what, F it, why not go 3 corners? Let's just take an Eli Ricks because of the upside or whatnot. Or even like an Ivan Pace Jr.
Yep, because he was up the board too.
I don't think we need him because I think we have his mold and Mark Robinson already on the roster.
I would agree.
We've seen what Ivan Pace can do.
He can get after it.
He's crazy. He would have been perfect with the Steelers locker room, I feel like. But, I don't think there's a big knock against this one. We needed some extra O-line depth. What did I keep doing in the mock drafts? I always took a center. And like one of our last 7th-round picks just because I'm like, hey, we need a backup center. So I feel like that's probably this dude's inside track to making the roster. But he'll probably still compete with like a Kendrick Green for a backup guard spot or even just – to stay on the team or maybe make a practice squad, and then LaRaven Clark as an offensive side. He'll compete with those guys, but and I don't know exactly who we picked up in these undrafted free agents, but I'm sure we had a couple other guys on the interior. So
I thought Johnny Sins was one of them dudes you picked up. Right?
No, he'll have probably the edge a little bit because he's an actual draft pick. But we know how this type of stuff goes. You saw what happened with Jalen Warren last year.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It doesn't matter, how you get there, whether your number was called or not. But once you get there, it's all about making the most of those opportunities. You think about me, 6th-round pick. You talk about TG, undrafted dude. Actually, a 3-day tryout dude. You know what I mean? Those are very different. And even with that, for both of us to be able to do what we did, it just shows for a guy like Spencer Anderson, a guy like Corey Trice, you can still make a great career out of this thing. But, your road is going to be a little bit longer, a little bit harder. Ain't nothing wrong with that, man. That's what makes them unique. But I am excited for Spencer, though, man. I feel like early on, practice squad is going to be an easier path for him. But, there's no point in, him shying away from trying to make that active roster outright. We know just the guard position right now, we're crowded. And that's the thing. But if he can show legitimate...
needs to work on his snaps.
Right. If he can show consistency and legitimate positional flexibility where we're not saying he has to be the best at left tackle, the best at left guard, the best at center, the best at right guard, the best at right tackle. But if he can raise his level from an NFL perspective to where he is varsity at all those spots, or at least varsity at 2 to 3 of those spots, that's ultimately how he stays on the roster because he's not going to be able to give you special teams value per se. So for him, the consistency and the trust that the team is going to have in him playing multiple spots is going to be the key for him, man. But
and he's got that Maryland connect.
You
that doesn't hurt.
Come on, man. You got to have that Maryland connection, baby. You need a Maryland connection or an Eagles connection or play for Georgia. It's one of those 3 right now, man. If you do one of those 3, you're going to get a job. You can get a job. Believe that.